our world and beyond. Space, in partnership with the European Space Agency.
To be self-sufficient on long space voyages, you have to recreate the mechanisms of our natural ecosystem. And researchers have been working on this ever since mankind first blasted into space.
As soon as you put a human being into a closed environment, you have to give them oxygen, water and food. And these consumables, or metabolic consumables, weigh around 5 kilos per person per day.
It sounds simple, but it isn't. Space rockets aren't powerful enough or light enough to carry the hundreds of tons of provisions needed for medium and long-distance space travel. At the University of Barcelona, scientists from ESA, the European Space Agency, are researching a support system for biological life. The project is called MELISSA, which is short for Micro-Ecological Life Support Alternative.
The point of MELISSA is to show that we can set up a system of continuous recycling on Earth, using waste to produce water, food and oxygen. The idea is to recreate in a small environment, using very little energy, very little space, with no risk to the crew, a mini Earth which would allow astronauts to remain in space practically indefinitely.
MELISSA aims to produce 100% of the oxygen and 20% of the food needed by a human being in space. To achieve these aims, MELISSA is exploring production via recycling of organic waste, carbon dioxide and minerals, using the sun as an energy source. In effect, setting up a simplified equivalent of natural recycling. Visiting the site with the technical director, the system's complexity is immediately apparent.
This bacteria, spirulina, produces oxygen.
The whole system depends on a series of bioreactors.
It's a pebble bed reactor, but the pebbles in this case are polystyrene beads. These 30-kilo auxiliary reservoirs are nitrification compartments.
Each compartment in the system houses a different type of waste degradation or produces a different element.
This compartment just breathes the oxygen produced by the rest of the artificial ecosystem.
These rats are living on oxygen produced by the artificial ecosystem.
We did studies to see which animal would be the best adapted for this, and it's the rat. 40 rats, in fact, which together need the same amount of oxygen as a single human being.
First of all, MELISSA has a compartment which breaks down organic waste from humans and from the vegetation they eat.
The next compartments are a series of bioreactors which continue breaking down the substances or transforming them until we end up with what we want: supplies of oxygen, food and water for the crew.
In the next two compartments, one of them continues breaking down the fatty acids produced in the first compartment, and the other allows nitrification, which makes the nitrogen assimilable so the cycle can continue. All the different phases of recycling rely on the presence of bacteria. All other elements are inanimate.
Each of the bacteria has a specific task to biodegrade the organic waste or to produce again food.
This project is part of an international network of partnerships supporting MELISSA. The Centre of Nuclear Energy Studies in Belgium is also involved in the study of spirulina, which is often thought of as an algae.
This green bacteria can be eaten, and it's actually very nutritive. It contains a lot of vitamins, fatty acids, essential amino acids, and it has several antioxidant effects. So we use different types of bacteria to degrade organic waste, to purify the water, but also to produce oxygen. And to produce oxygen, we use this green bacteria that can do photosynthesis.
Studying bacteria on Earth is essential, but any future life-supporting space stations will be operating in the hostile environment of outer space. So it's important to know how the bacteria will behave there.
We are sending some of these bacteria to space. We let them grow there for example, 10 days. And when they return to Earth, we investigate them in detail, their genetic information, but also the type of proteins and lipids that they produce under a space environment. We know some bacteria are growing faster under space environment, but other bacteria become, for example, more resistant to antibiotics and could be a risk for the crew members.
These lettuce seedlings demonstrate the completion of Melissa's life cycle. For the last year, this Russian biologist has been working in Barcelona. She's also worked at BIOS, which is running a parallel project in Russia.
Here in Barcelona, we're seeing a different approach to the way Mother Nature operates general recycling. In BIOS, we treat the very same scientific issues differently. So we're better off combining our efforts because we're coming from different directions. And the data we already have from the BIOS may help us to face the challenges here in Melissa.
With food sources plus water and oxygen, the lettuce seedlings complete the artificial ecosystem cycle. They also pave the way for other applications.
Studying the cycle that turns waste into consumables is also important for us here on Earth. A plant today, be it a tomato plant or a potato plant, for example, on average it produces 50% of consumable matter and 50% of bio-waste. 50% of everything a greenhouse produces is waste. So if you can reuse that 50% of waste to grow another plant or another potato, well, then you're going to reduce the environmental impact of your greenhouses.
You can't invent life, you can't create something from nothing, but you can transform one thing into another, and harnessing this process will blast our knowledge straight into the space age.